Imagine a snake longer than a school bus, heavier than a grand piano, powerful enough to crush steel. Now imagine it sliding silently through ancient swamps, hunting crocodiles like we hunt rabbits today. For decades, scientists believed they'd found the ultimate serpent, a creature so massive it redefined our nightmares. But buried in forgotten museum drawers, misidentified for nearly 2 decades, lay bones belonging to something possibly even more terrifying. This is the story of Earth's true serpent kings, monsters that ruled when the world burned hot, when jungles stretched from pole to pole, and when being at the top of the food chain meant growing to absolutely monstrous proportions. Tonight, we uncoil the secrets of titans that made modern anacondas look like garden worms. The discovery that changed everything. Colombia, 2002. Deep in the coal mines of Cerrejon, workers carve through layers of ancient earth. Their excavators strike something unusual. Massive vertebrae scattered throughout the sediment like forgotten puzzle pieces. The site already produces prehistoric treasures, giant turtle shells, crocodilian skulls, fossilized plant matter from tropical forests. So when miners uncover these enormous backbone segments, the conclusion seems obvious: another massive crocodile. The fossils sit in storage for years, awaiting proper scientific examination and classification. When researchers finally study them at the Florida Museum of Natural History, they realize immediately something is wrong. These bones don't match any crocodilian anatomy. The vertebrae possess a distinct shape, specialized articulation points, and proportions that suggest something entirely different. What they're looking at belongs to a snake. Not just any snake, but the largest serpent ever scientifically documented. They name it Titanoboa cerrejonensis, the Titanic boa from Cerrejon. Length estimates stagger the paleontology community: 42 to 47 feet of pure reptilian muscle. Weight calculations suggest specimens reaching 2,500 pounds. That's comparable to a fully grown hippopotamus. The discovery explodes across scientific journals and captivates public imagination worldwide almost immediately. Titanoboa becomes an icon, featured in documentaries, museum exhibits, and even life-sized reconstructions. For years, it reigns as the undisputed champion of prehistoric serpents, the largest that ever lived. But science has a way of humbling our certainties with new discoveries. The king that waited in darkness. Gujarat, India, 2005. Paleontologists excavating the Penandro lignite mine in the Naredi Formation uncover fossilized vertebrae. Like their Colombian counterparts, these bones seem crocodilian at first glance to the discovery team. They're cataloged, boxed, and placed in storage at the Indian Institute of Technology. 19 years pass. The bones sit forgotten, gathering dust in museum collections as happens surprisingly often. Then in 2024, researchers decide to re-examine these specimens using modern analytical techniques. What they discover sends shockwaves through the paleontological community, once again with stunning implications. These bones belong to an entirely new species of giant snake, one possibly longer than Titanoboa itself. They name it Vasuki Indicus, after the serpent king from Hindu mythology and its Indian origin. The name fits perfectly. Vasuki was said to coil around mountains and gods alike. This prehistoric serpent deserved nothing less than a mythological title befitting its truly staggering dimensions. Initial measurements suggest lengths between 36 and 40 feet, comparable to Titanoboa, but potentially more slender. However, some paleontologists propose more extreme estimates reaching 50 feet based on vertebrae proportions. If accurate, Vasuki Indicus would claim the throne as Earth's longest serpent ever documented. But size alone doesn't tell the complete story of what made this creature terrifying. Anatomy of a nightmare. Vasuki Indicus belonged to the Madtsoiidae family, an ancient lineage of constrictor snakes extinct today. Unlike modern boas and pythons, Madtsoiids possessed fundamentally different anatomy that shaped their hunting strategies. Their skulls were more rigid, their jaws less elastic and flexible than their modern descendants. Modern constrictors can dislocate their jaws and stretch their mouths to impossible proportions. This allows them to swallow prey whole, sometimes animals larger than their own head diameter. Vasuki lacked this ability entirely. So how did a 50-foot predator consume its kills? The answer is genuinely disturbing. Vasuki tore its prey apart with brutal efficiency and raw power. Its mouth contained rows of razor-sharp, recurved teeth designed for gripping and ripping flesh. After constricting its victim into stillness or death, Vasuki would bite and tear, consuming chunks. Imagine a snake feeding more like a carnivorous dinosaur than a modern serpent we recognize. But the true weapon was the constriction itself, powered by extraordinary anatomical adaptations throughout its body. Vasuki's vertebrae were incredibly robust, with massive attachment points for powerful muscle groups running its length. Its trunk was thick and heavily muscled, providing leverage that modern snakes couldn't match. When Vasuki coiled around prey, the pressure was catastrophic and virtually inescapable from its grip. Scientists estimate Vasuki could generate constriction forces exceeding even a saltwater crocodile's bite pressure. For context, saltwater crocodiles bite with roughly 3,700 pounds of force per square inch. Now imagine that pressure wrapping around your entire body, squeezing from multiple angles simultaneously. Bones shatter, organs rupture, blood flow ceases. Death comes in seconds, not minutes. A world built for giants. To understand why Vasuki grew so massive, we must reconstruct the world it inhabited. Middle Eocene India, roughly 47 million years ago, looked nothing like the subcontinent we know. No Himalayas towered over the landscape. Those mountains wouldn't rise for millions of years yet. Instead, vast swamplands stretched across the region, fed by rivers carrying nutrient-rich sediment constantly. The climate was dramatically hotter than today, with average temperatures potentially 15 to 20 degrees higher. Humidity hung thick in the air. Tropical vegetation exploded across every available surface with incredible density. This environment teemed with life forms that seem almost alien to modern eyes today. Massive catfish prowled murky waters. Turtles the size of compact cars basked on muddy banks safely. Crocodilians lurked in every waterway, some reaching lengths exceeding 20 feet with ease. And swimming in coastal waters were primitive whales like Andrewsiphius and Cuchicitus, early cetaceans still adapting to aquatic life. This wasn't just a rich ecosystem, it was a prehistoric buffet for apex predators. Vasuki sat near the very top of this food chain, perhaps sharing dominance only with the largest crocodilians. Everything else was potential prey, from fish to turtles to other snakes. Marine serpents also inhabited these waters, including species like Tharcespinator that hunted in coastal environments. But Vasuki was terrestrial, an ambush predator that used the swamp's complexity to its advantage. It would coil in murky shallows or beneath fallen logs, waiting with prehistoric patience. When prey approached, perhaps a young whale exploring too close to shore, Vasuki struck with devastating speed. The warm climate was crucial to Vasuki's success and enormous size throughout its existence. As ectotherms, snakes rely on external heat to regulate their body temperature and metabolism. Higher ambient temperatures mean faster metabolism, better digestion, and more efficient energy use overall. In Eocene India's heat, Vasuki could maintain the active metabolism necessary to sustain its incredible mass. The fallen throne. But environmental conditions that enabled Vasuki's dominance couldn't last forever in Earth's changing climate. Around 34 million years ago, the Eocene epoch ended, replaced by the cooler Oligocene. This transition marked one of Earth's most significant climate shifts in recent geological history. Global temperatures dropped dramatically as Antarctica began accumulating permanent ice sheets for the first time. Ocean currents changed, weather patterns shifted, and crucially for Vasuki, the vast swamplands began drying up steadily and irreversibly. For a creature so perfectly adapted to hot, wet environments, this change spelled extinction. Vasuki needed warmth to maintain its metabolism and vast hunting grounds rich with prey. As temperatures cooled and swamps transformed into drier forests, Vasuki's world literally disappeared beneath it. The fossil record suggests Vasuki Indicus vanished around the Eocene-Oligocene boundary, unable to adapt. Yet Vasuki's family, the Madtsoiides, proved more resilient than the individual species itself. Related snakes persisted for millions of years after Vasuki's extinction, adapting to changing conditions. Some lineages survived in Australia and South America until remarkably recent times, geologically speaking. In fact, some Madtsoiid species may have persisted until just 12,000 years ago. That means humans potentially encountered these ancient constrictors. Aboriginal Australians might have shared their continent with the last descendants of Vasuki's lineage. Imagine seeing a 20-foot primitive constrictor in the wild, a living connection to prehistoric times. The true king? So which serpent deserves the crown? Titanoboa or Vasuki Indicus as the ultimate prehistoric snake? The answer depends on how we define greatest in this ancient competition between titans. Titanoboa likely outweighed Vasuki, reaching up to 2,800 pounds versus Vasuki's estimated 2,400. Titanoboa was built like an aquatic tank, perfectly designed for semi-aquatic life. It probably specialized in hunting large fish and aquatic prey in South America's prehistoric rivers. But Vasuki was potentially longer, possibly reaching 50 feet if maximum estimates prove accurate. More importantly, Vasuki was a more versatile and fearsome predator despite its different hunting style. While Titanoboa hunted in water, Vasuki was terrestrial, capable of taking prey on land and water. Its prey diversity was staggering. Fish, turtles, crocodiles, other snakes, and even primitive whales. Vasuki's constriction was likely more powerful pound for pound due to its robust skeletal adaptations. And its feeding method, tearing prey apart rather than swallowing whole, made it uniquely terrifying. Imagine encountering a 50-foot snake that doesn't just squeeze and swallow, but crushes and dismembers. In Hindu mythology, Vasuki, the Serpent King, was so powerful that gods used him to churn the cosmic ocean, creating the elixir of immortality from the depths. The scientists who named Vasuki Indicus understood the symbolism. This wasn't just another big snake. This was a true king of serpents, a creature of almost mythological proportions. The story of Vasuki Indicus reminds us that Earth's history holds surprises still waiting in museum drawers and forgotten collections worldwide. For 19 years, the bones of possibly the longest snake ever to exist gathered dust, misidentified and overlooked. How many other titans remain undiscovered, buried in sediment or hiding in plain sight? Vasuki ruled an ancient world we can barely imagine, a world of endless swamps, crushing heat, and giants at every turn. Though that world is gone, the king of serpents lives on in stone, a testament to life's ability to reach staggering extremes. And somewhere, perhaps, another discovery waits in darkness, ready to rewrite what we think we know about the monsters that came before us.